I'm Shannon.
And I'm Lisa.
And KK's here too. And you're listening to Blacktivities,
a celebration of all things Black.
Black culture, Black history,
Black perspectives, and Black panache.
Celebrating our Blackness doesn't mean exclusion.
Everybody's invited, but you got to come in and have a seat.
So let the Blacktivities begin. What's good, Blacktivities fam? I'm your host, Shannon, joined by my co-host, the one, the only, Mona Lisa the Poet. We are glad that you're here and you're listening.
If you've been listening, you've heard us talk about merch. The store is up and running. Get your Blacktivities gear, including the logo shirts, and kiss my Black panache, which I love. I love that. Shannon, when you came up with that, let me tell you, it's just like, yeah, I be wanting to wear shit like that to work. But hey.
Not trying to get you fired.
Right. And we also have FUPA friendly, shirts making its debut in the shop. So I'm going to get one of those. Check my Instagram. If you want to grab some of this gear, there's a link in the show notes. Also, if you join our newsletter, you'll get a discount code in your inbox for the store. So definitely check the show notes if you want to become Blacktivities official.
All right. Yes. So we actually have a guest today. We don't have a lot of guests, so this is special. We be having big auntie energy sometimes. Well,
every day, baby.
I'm kind of bougie about my hip hop. Like, I don't mess with some of that hippity hoppity stuff.
Ooh, Lord, baby, don't tell your age. Don't do that.
We had to bring in an expert for today's episode. Joining us today is John Wright. He is a brand strategist and musician from Atlanta, Georgia. He currently works at an Atlanta-based creative agency helping craft creative campaigns for brands like Sprite and the NBA G League. Like, that's legit my dream job because I have a marketing degree as well. So I love the creative part. Every Friday, John publishes a marketing newsletter through his platform, SnobHop, where he covers the intersection of hip-hop, advertising, and Black culture. John, we're so glad to have you here today, and I'm looking forward to the depth that you're going to bring to our conversation. Thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me. Always excited to talk hip-hop, talk this beef. I've been talking about it for the past month, so I'm excited.
It was an exciting beef. Now, SnobHop is your newsletter. How did you come up with the concept and the name for that?
Kind of like how you said a second ago, like you're bougie with your hip hop. I'm a bit of a snob myself. So like I put those two words together, SnobHop. And yeah, I realized a lot of people in our field in marketing don't talk about the culture, especially through a marketing lens. And I kind of wanted to bring that POV. So I just started publishing.
I love it.
I love it. That is amazing.
Yeah, we'll put links for that in the show notes for everybody. So if you haven't guessed it yet, we're talking about hip hop today. And if you haven't been living under a rock, you know that there's been some crazy music beef recently. The big one, obviously, is Kendrick and Drake. Really, Drake versus the world, because everybody was coming for Drake.
Bless it.
You know, The Weeknd, Rick Ross, Kanye, A$AP Rocky, Future and Metro Boomin, everybody.
Lord.
We had the Chris Brown and Quavo beef. Really, it was dominated by Chris, but Gucci put out a diss song about Diddy. King Kong.
For what? Wait, hold on. For what?
You didn't hear that No Diddy song?
I know, but for what though?
I don't know. I think he just wanted to get in on it. Then King Kong put out what I call a miss song, because that wasn't it.
If you're going to come out with this records, you got to like really bring it.
Yeah, it was bad.
But how often do y'all, something that I'm amazed by though is the way that Not Like Us, baby, every time I get in my car, that is on the radio.
We're going to talk about that.
Okay. All right. I'll back off.
I don't know. You probably knew this, but even doggone Taylor Swift was taking shots in her music.
Lord.
At Kim Kardashian. Because,
Really?
Yeah, because, she had beef with Kim from the whole Kanye thing where Kim
I forgot about that.
For playing the recording of her agreeing to letting Kanye use whatever he said in one of his songs. I can't even remember what it was.
Yeah, okay. Wow, I forgot about them. Bless it.
Yeah, so the thing I kept hearing people say was about like how big the K-Dot and Drake beef was for hip hop. Now, June is Black Music Month, so I thought it would be fitting for us to discuss that. So today, with the knowledge of John, we're going to talk about whether or not these beefs are good for not just hip hop, but the culture in general. So I think we should get it popping with today's
Big Facts.
Whoa,
Joe was like, okay.
I was trying to figure out. I was like, whoa, she did that in real time? That was dope. I love it.
So, with the big facts today, I was like, what am I going to talk about here? Like, with history and rap beefs. What I didn't realize as I was doing my research is just how many rap beefs there have been. There were a lot that I remembered and then some that I had forgotten about. Like, of course, everybody knows about the Pac and Biggie, Nas and Jay-Z, 50 Cent and Ja Rule. Those are like the big ones that everybody pretty much knows about. But do you remember, I guess this was like college for us, Lisa, T.I. and Lil Flip?
Yes.
That beef. And then there was Ice Cube and Common.
Wait, whoa, what was that about?
I don't know exactly.
That's two different worlds.
Yeah. Gucci Mane and Young Jeezy, that was a big one in our college days.
And that was that area where everybody wanted to be king of the South, which was crazy.
Yeah. Young Dolph and Yo Gotti. This is just a few. So there's so many, and yeah, I don't think I realized just how common they've been. But maybe that's due to the facts that I'm actually going to talk about today. So with the Kendrick and Drake beef, it's been historically different from rap beefs in the past. The primary reasons for that are the technology that we have now and how much hip hop has become and defined pop culture. So one thing that made it different is that they released 9 solo diss tracks between the two of them, and they did that in less than 4 weeks. So people used to have to wait for months to hear a beef play out. It took Jay-Z 3 months to reply to Ether when Nas dropped that. And, Kendrick said he had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plus 5 tracks ready to go if necessary. So that's pretty amazing. It was also a lot harder to access a diss track before. Back in the 80s and 90s, you either had to catch the diss record when the artist performed it in a club, or find somebody who had the song copied on a cassette tape, or you just had to listen to it on the radio. Now, the artist can post songs on social media quickly, and millions of people hear it right away. Fans are able to react and respond to it in real time. And people were getting millions of views on YouTube for their reaction videos. Like, Slick was like, let me put my reaction video up. It was a bit ridiculous. So also, a big thing that you mentioned, Lisa, these diss tracks that they put out, they actually became hits. Not Like Us was #1 on the charts worldwide. Now I think it's dropped to #2, so it hasn't gone very far, but they're playing it on televised sports broadcasts. I think I heard it watching the finals the other day. Drake's Family Matters wasn't far behind that on the track. And did you guys know that Joe Biden's campaign team actually used Euphoria to throw shade at Donald Trump on IG?
Hey, that's funny. Wow.
It was in the song where he started talking about, I hate the way that you dress. I hate the way you do this. I hate the way you did that. So they just had like pictures of him flashing, like related to what was being said. But if you're curious, I'll link it in the show notes so you can watch it. That's the big facts.
That's wild.
Yeah.
That is wild. That is wild. Okay, so when this topic came up and I was doing a little research, I was just basically like, okay, back then, like when rap originated, like was there beefs like this? Because we don't hear about them. So I was just like, okay, first person that popped up in my head was like Kumo D. All right. And I'm like, okay, did Kumo D have like a rap beef with somebody? And he did. It was LL Cool J.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess with me asking the question of, do they take it too far? I feel like, in my opinion, they do. Now they take it too far. It's a little bit more personal. Whereas back then, when it comes to family members, kids, like they didn't rap about, just your home life. That was, everybody knew that was a rule. It was off limits. Okay. So I'm like, why now? Like, what is the deal now when it comes to the beefs nowadays? Like, why is it so personal?
Well, first of all, John, let me ask you, are there rules to rap beef?
In my mind, no. As messed up as that sounds, like I think to Lisa's point, even in the 90s, like when Pac released Hit 'Em Up and you listen to like the last part of it where he starts talking about like, I mean, even from the first bar, you claiming to be a player, I smashed your wife, all the way to don't want.
That ain't what he said, but go ahead.
I didn't know how I was about cursing, you know what I'm saying? Like,
no, you're right. Go ahead. You're right.
But like from that first bar all the way to the end where he was like, yo, don't one of you dudes got sickle cell, blah, 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 blah. Like
I forgot about that.
There. So my personal view has always been when you get into a beef, like it's weird. On one level, should there be rules of like, yo, family members, women, children off limits? Yeah. But in the context of this one, it's like, okay, when you mention that, then all right, it's no holds bars. Everything's on the table now because, a certain line has been crossed. So when it gets to that point, I think there are no rules.
Mm.
That's just me though.
I'm thinking like, did anybody really take the things that they said seriously?
I mean, in my opinion, yeah.
Do people really think Drake is a pedophile?
Yeah. Because I mean, how can you ignore that? Being, there are so many underage things that's going on when it comes to, the music world in Hollywood. So as a mom, I'm coming from a perspective of it has to come from somewhere. Like there had to been something that he did. I mean, I ain't finna go ignoring R. Kelly. Like, what I'm saying? I knew R. Kelly, like, they did before. So, I mean, it had to come from somewhere.
That's the thing about beef. Like, public perception plays such a huge role in things. So it's like, like Drake, for instance, we don't know what he has going on or, whatever with him. But you have so many of these moments that people can point at and just say, all right, it's a little weird. All right, that's kind of, and it starts to build this perception. So then all it takes is like, if a lesser rapper had said something about it, it probably would have just, flown by. But because someone who's basically your equal at this point, like, the big three, you got Cole, Kendrick, and Drake, your equal pointed it out. Now, like the impact is that much larger, and it makes people start asking different questions, and it kind of damages, your reputation a little bit. Cause now people with the internet, they start digging and going back and saying, oh wait, I remember this and I remember that. So, it's who knows what he has going on, but that's whew.
Big allegation, but also a big allegation that Kendrick beat his wife or whatever.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
But like, on, it's ironic that he kind of said that this was going to come up because on Euphoria, he was like, you're fabricating stories on the family front because you heard Mr. Morale. And that's what kind of makes it hard to beat someone like him in a battle. Because again, even with him, like we don't know the real specifics of what happens in his life, but he like addresses enough of like who he is and what his demons are like as a person, especially on that last album that I feel like that's why it didn't have that much of an impact either in our culture. It's kind of like you're saying stuff about him and people are like, well, you know, he kind of says some stuff on We Cry Together that would make me think that he's had a turbulent relationship with this girl. So it's like, you know, I don't know. It's a crazy thing. Both of their reputations have kind of, I wouldn't say taken hits, but people kind of look a little differently and ask different questions about them now, especially after this beef.
Well, that's a good segue to the next question. Can beef end a rapper's career? Like, and a follow-up question to that, do you think J. Cole did some damage because he initially put out a diss record and then he took it back?
Ooh, yeah.
Is that possible?
I mean, he was the first. Yeah. I mean, I think it shows growth on his end. Like, it's like we talk about in our culture, like wanting men to take their mental health seriously. And, you know, putting peace at the forefront when possible, because there are some really negative aspects to beef. And I know we'll talk about it later. But like, I think with J. Cole, he kind of just recognized, he said, you know what? I'm not getting sleep. This is actually my brother. I don't really want to say anything to him. So, you know what? I think my ego might take a hit, but I think I'm going to step back from this. And I'm going to because you two guys clearly have a problem with each other. And I'm kind of in the middle. I'm going to fall back.
I like that.
Yeah. I mean, people were on J. Cole about that, but I appreciate it because one, he was self-aware. He knew he didn't want that fade. Two, like, I admired that he has the maturity to say, you know, that's not the space I'm in right now. I respect that person. I think he's dope, and I'm not going to participate in that.
There is the flip side of that, though, which is kind of messed up, which is now looking at it as a hip hop fan, there's the competitive side where now you're going to have a hard time saying that, yo, I'm the GOAT. Nobody wants to smoke with me. Cause it's like, well, the smoke came your way, you know, and you dodged it. I understand why, because this is your homie, and it could have been a friendly fade. You know, y'all could have went back and forth, but like, I get it. But now you got to you kind of have to take a step back and ask yourself, you know, can you really say these things anymore? And at the risk of rambling, I know you asked the other question about can a beef end your career? I think the short answer to that is yes. At the very least, it like, you got to be careful because this battle shows us that it changes public perception, right? Like, we think of Drake as a person and as a brand. Like, I think both of those have taken some noticeable hits. I wouldn't be surprised if the suit stepped in at some point after Not Like Us came out and said, hey, yo, this was all fun and games. Obviously, we made some money because both of you guys licensed your music to us, but we're starting to get some calls from Nike and whoever else. They're getting nervous. This has to stop right now.
And you start messing up money.
Oh, yeah.
Then we got problems. Do you know anybody that the beef actually ended their career? Did the T.I. beef end Lil Flip's career?
I wouldn't say that.
We hadn't heard anything from him. I don't know.
No, I wouldn't say that.
I think the decline of the person's career is so slow. Like, you know how like in cartoons, because I don't have a better reference, like how like a snowball will tumble down a hill and then it becomes a bigger kind of thing. Like, I think we kind of saw what happened the last time Drake got into a beef, or the first time when he got into a beef with Meek, right? Like, that was such a noticeable hit to his career. Like, fortunately, he was able to bounce back with like that album Champions that he did after getting out of prison. But I'm trying to think of one, but yeah, I think beef can end your career. Careful.
I think that after the NWA and Ice Cube, that situation happened. And when Ice Cube dropped No Vaseline, that's where everybody started to disperse on their own, because that was raw. Ice Cube went really in with No Vaseline. And then, of course, yeah, everybody had their own personal problems in the group. Eazy-E had his own thing going on. But, I mean, what did they have after that? You know what I mean? Even in that movie, everybody was sitting there in shock, like, bro, like, what we gonna do? You know what I'm saying? So I think that's a great example.
Even 50 and Ja Rule, I remember y'all mentioned that earlier. Like, I was a little bit younger when that happened, but I remember when Wanksta came out, I was in elementary school, but, you know, like, after that, like Ja Rule's career, it has that, no disrespect to him, it has that slow decline where suddenly you're not as relevant because the brand of like who you are as a rapper, like you're a gangster rapper. This dude says you're not really a gangster. Y'all got into a tussle at the studio. Like all these different things start to add up. Next thing you know, like that public perception shifts so much. It doesn't matter how good the music is. It's like we don't believe you anymore.
Mm.
Do you feel like 50 is a bully? Considering the amount of people that he don't win at, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean,
oh no, and then like, what's the girl that's the singer? She was on Love and Hip Hop.
Oh,
Say the name again?
Is it Tierra Marie?
Yeah, maybe so. Yeah. The way that he went at her, you know what I'm saying, and he sued her, and he just kept like going at her on social media. So I'm just like, when do you leave it alone? Like even years later with Ja Rule had a show come up. 50 went and bought out the whole front row just so it could be empty. You know what I mean? So it's like, at what point, like, do you say, okay, come on, man, chill out, me, stall him out, B. You know?
The funny thing with 50 is I feel like I think he has people he actually has a real personal issue with. And it's just forever with them. Like we see it with Diddy, we see it with Ja, with Tierra Marie. But then he also is really great at marketing, and he uses beef as a tactic.
Yes.
So it's like,
yes,
with the Floyd thing, who knows if he actually had an issue with Floyd? Maybe it seems like he might have, but like I know like Michael Rainey Jr. from Power talked about it recently. Like when they found out the show was canceled, he took a page out of 50's book and was like, "Oh man, 50 didn't call us, da 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 da." And you know, you do this thing for like public perception, and I think he's just really good at manipulating it that way. But you can tell when he doesn't really like somebody, for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. Definitely.
Can I ask you this question, John?
Mm-hmm.
Why was everybody coming at Drake? I didn't quite understand that.
The best I can tell is that there is some kind of issue that they all have that nobody wants to talk about. So with Drake and Kendrick, it seems like their issue started like 10 plus years ago. You know, the Control record, Big Sean, that verse, and then things kind of kept splintering from there. The Rick Ross thing is unclear. The Metro thing is unclear. Future and him, like, you know, there's speculation about maybe it's over a girl, maybe it's this, but like, it's weird. Everybody seems to have an issue, but nobody is willing to say what the issue is.
What the issue is.
Yeah. So, and then it all kind of comes to a head because one person has a problem, they finally say something. So then now everybody else feels emboldened to say something, and then people start coming out the woodwork. But nobody will say what that something is.
Well, have y'all seen Drake?
In his dad pants, it looked like...
Oh my Lord, balloons. Jesus.
I didn't get that one.
He's back outside. You know, a lot of people would think this is an L. You know, you take your L, you gotta go back outside, get back to normal.
Yeah, this is true. Just heal, baby.
Who won the beef, Drake or Kendrick?
Come on, Shannon.
I like both rappers, but yeah, I mean, I think the moment Meet the Grams came out, it was kind of like, okay, I think Kendrick got this one, and then he followed up like 12 hours later with Not Like Us, and that felt like the victory lap. And after I heard that, I was like, okay, I think you got to take this L, man. Unfortunately,
yeah, Not Like Us is a bop. So
yeah, like I mean, like I was saying earlier, every time, like today, like every time I get in the car, it is on the radio. I'm scrolling when I'm doing my late night scrolls before I go to sleep. There's somebody that's playing it, you know, in their reel, like it's everywhere.
Yes. Yeah.
And I have to admit though, like even though I be like, here go this song again, I be in there like crip walking and shit, like, hey. It's a little catchy little thing though. I can't deny that.
The kids are singing it. It's bad. It's a smash.
Yeah.
My kids, I'm a teacher, John. And my kids were asking me before summer break, Miss Chapman, who won the beef? Yeah. You can't compete with Kendrick's lyricism, though. Like the way he
Mhm.
uses words is crazy.
Yeah, that really is.
So, is rap beef good for the culture?
Who's going to answer first? Okay, go ahead.
I was gonna say, Shannon. So you mentioned being an educator. My sister's a teacher, and my brother's a VP at a school, and like they told me the same thing about like the kids, like singing lyrics to Kendrick, dissecting stuff. So like on a positive side, I think a good aspect of beef is you have like the younger generation caring about lyrics, understanding what entendres are, again saying, oh wait, he said that and it actually meant that. And I'm like, yay for reading comprehension, for critical thinking. Let's like, that's amazing. And then on the flip side, like we talked about a little bit earlier, there's definitely some negativity to it. Like obviously we saw what happened with Biggie and Pac. That was in a lot of
Exactly.
Yeah, like those guys died, and a lot of it was fueled by media. A lot of it was fueled by Black media, turning a personal issue into like a global East Coast, West Coast thing. And, unfortunately, at the end of this Drake Kendrick beef, we don't know where it came from, but, you hear a morning or two after Not Like Us dropped, like Drake's security guard got shot. So,
Yeah.
it for the sport, like the sport of like trading records is dope, because when's the last time you got 5 Kendrick records in a week or 5 Drake records in a week? But then there's the negativity of the real life people who have real life issues and real life friends who will crash out over this stuff that's happening in the public.
Yeah, like as this thing was playing out, I'm like, oh, okay. I loved the excitement that it brought to the culture. People were talking about it. People were excited, waiting for the next thing, the anticipation. We got some good music, but at the same time, it was like I was just cringing because I'm like, man, I hope nothing happens to either one of them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it didn't even have to be like between their camps. It's like people hear things and then they go and act thinking that they're doing something for the artist when they're not.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was kind of scary. Also, I felt like there still was like this kind of atmosphere of like discord or negative energy. I couldn't quite pinpoint what it was. There was just a overall air of negativity in the community. I felt like people were just trying to go at each other for some reason.
A lot of people are saying, and we talk about at work a lot, like when we're putting together campaigns, like, what's going on in the culture that we can latch on to see how people are feeling, turn that into a creative campaign, blah, 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 blah. But one phrase we've been throwing around a lot is this is the year of truth. And a lot of it seems to be, because of Cat Williams, if we're going to call it what it is.
Oh my gosh.
And Cat aired his, and everybody else said, you know what? The world is close to ending to some people. Whatever. They're like, you know what? I got a problem with you. Fuck it. I'm gonna talk about.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
Right, I didn't think about that. It did kind of go left after that.
Mm-hmm.
He told us.
Mm-hmm. Everybody was. Everybody was beefing. Well, everybody had an issue and was voicing their issue, which is probably the reason why everybody came at Drake the way they did. Is because you know what? It was this one time I seen him. You know what? Fuck it, Drake. They get on Twitter and say whatever it is they want to say, but I mean, it makes sense. It totally makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I think in the context of this particular beef, like Kendrick and Drake have been, they have been sneak dissing each other for so long. I think finally when First Person Shooter came out with Drake and Cole, and like there was a rumor that they tried to get Kendrick on the record, and that kind of fell apart. But yeah, I'm glad it finally got to a point where he's like, he has to prove that he's a problem. He has to prove that he's better than me. And finally we had these two guys tell the truth about how they feel, because it got to a point where it's like, all right, who's finally gonna draw first blood? That sounds terrible, but like,
Yeah, but
who's finally gonna jump in the ring? And they finally did, and it was everything I thought it would be. So as a fan, I'm good.
yeah.
Well, Lisa, I think it's time to hear your piece.
All right. Okay, so obviously this one is titled Super Beef. For the culture. It's all for the culture, right? Lauren would never. Tell him and it might bring sense to everyone winning them all. When it all falls down, I'm too old to be playing with Barbies. My granny would turn over twice in her grave if I raved publicly to enemies on head game, mind game, bodies, bass, boombastic, rhyme ting type shit, boldly josing over jonesing on James, and then $50 to keep up bullshit. This is the real miseducation of real music. Drastic mind of time when out of skin is lucrative. For all of the wrong reasons. Rap so dingy, but it's originating screams Rhapsody. Sweatsuits and Kangos are cute, but it's not what makes a lyrical genius. Respectfully realizing that there is talent. Be proud of the cause. We know exactly where the drums come from. Let's do what we do, and let's do it right for the culture.
Right. Had to put L Boogie in there.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, that was dope.
All right. So, John, we do this thing at the end of the show where we call the culture to act in some way. Call to action for the culture. We'll have you go last so you can think about it a little bit. Lisa, what is your call to action for the culture?
My call to action for the culture is we understand how exciting rap beef can be, but also remember that there are people out there that don't get involved with rap beef, and let's discover other people's music and then let's make what they have lucrative. Now, I want to put maybe I should have did this at the beginning or while we were talking. I want to put a little disclaimer out there that it's not just rap that beef, because there has been R&B beef as well. An example would be, y'all may not realize this, but there was a time where Brian McKnight went at Chris Brown on Twitter. There was a time where Lloyd was beefing with Miguel. So there was different times. And again, people don't shed light on those type of things, but it is possible. But let's focus on the music. Let's focus on their talent. And then we should stand on them and let these artists know, like, we ain't got time to hear that personal stuff, bro. Like, if we're standing our own way, just release the music, man. Just release the music. Because that's what it's all about. That's our culture, is to celebrate music. We don't have a music month for nothing. So that's my thing.
Well, I'm calling the culture to spread some positive energy. Like, people, I feel like, are always being negative, especially on social media. I want us to finally cheer for us. Like, other groups of people, you can't say anything negative about them with some kind of blowback. And we're like the only group that, like, we try to pull each other down. Also, every beef doesn't have to end in violence.
Exactly.
That's all I'm saying about that. John, what's your call to the culture?
My call to the culture is, let's regain an appreciation for craft, specifically the craft of hip hop. It's okay for us to have a standard about what is good for the culture and what is not. It's okay to call things trash if they are actually trash. And we know that's subjective. But yeah, like if the last month showed you nothing else, like let's get back to the height of what this actually can be. And to Shannon's point, let's spread some positivity. Things don't have to be violent. Like, let's keep it peaceful. Let's keep the culture moving forward. That's all I got.
Exactly. That was good.
Okay, well, I also want to call the culture to click that plus in Apple Podcast or that subscribe button in YouTube so you don't miss any future episodes of Blacktivities. John, we're so glad that you joined us today. let the people know where they can get plugged in with you.
Yeah. If you want to read my newsletter, go to snobhop.substack.com. Or if you want to find me on IG, my IG name is God Body Science, GODBODY.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Oh, my bad, y'all. Sorry.
No, all good.
Say it again. Say it again.
My Instagram name is God Body Science. So yeah, you can find me on there. Had a 5%er phase back in college, and it stuck. But
Okay.
Shannon and Lisa, I just want to say thanks again for bringing me on the pod. I know the initial email got lost in my inbox, but I'm glad we were able to connect. And yeah, I've been checking out your pod too, guys. Please make sure y'all subscribe. It's really dope. I believe this will probably be season 4, if I'm not mistaken.
5. It's 5. But I mean, these aunties let me tell you, especially that auntie right there, Shannon, we've been busy.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. I appreciate you all again.
Oh, thank you, John. We appreciate you being here too. And you were right.
Can he come back?
Of course,
Shannon,
yeah.
let him come back.
You're welcome. You fam now.
Hey.
So you're welcome.
Appreciate that.
Y'all go and follow John and subscribe to his newsletter. I'll put the links to those in the show notes. And until we meet again,
King and queens keep doing big things. Let's go.